Sister stole my inheritance, framed me as a drug addict. Parents believed her lies and cut me out of their will, leaving me nothing. The grandfather clock chimed 3 times as I sat frozen in my parents' dining room, staring at a legal document that effectively erased my existence. My name, Sarah Marie Thompson, wasn't just removed from the will. It was violently crossed out, scratched through with such force the pen had torn the paper. My sister Hannah sat across from me, absent-mindedly twirling the pearl necklace our grandmother had promised would be mine. That same necklace I'd caught her borrowing countless times as teenagers, only to be told I was imagining things when I complained to our parents. "This is for the best, Sarah," Hannah said, her voice dripping with manufactured concern. "Mom and Dad had to make tough choices. You understand, right?" Behind her, our parents nodded in unison, their eyes avoiding mine with practiced precision. My father, who once taught me to ride a bike and checked for monsters under my bed, now couldn't even look at his younger daughter. Something felt orchestrated about this moment. The formal setting, the lawyer's presence, Hannah's perfectly timed sympathy. It reminded me of all those childhood plays where Hannah always cast herself as the princess and me as the servant. Except this time, the stage was real life, and I was being written out of the script entirely. Looking back, the signs were always there, like breadcrumbs leading to this moment of ultimate betrayal. Christmas morning, 1997. Hannah, age 10, squealed with delight as she unwrapped a custom-built Victorian dollhouse, 3 stories tall, working electricity, tiny furniture hand-painted by artisans. I remember the price tag accidentally left on, $800. When my turn came, I unwrapped a generic Barbie, her face slightly smudged, clearly from the clearance bin. "Sarah's too young to appreciate nice things," Mom explained to Grandma, who had noticed the disparity. "She'd just break them." High school painted an even clearer picture. Hannah's straight-A report cards were framed and displayed in the living room like museum pieces. Mine, nearly identical grades, were glanced at and filed away. When Hannah made the cheerleading squad, Dad rented the entire country club for a celebration. When I won the state poetry competition, they missed the ceremony because Hannah had a hair appointment that couldn't be rescheduled. But nothing prepared me for the financial divide that would define our adult relationship. Our parents paid for Hannah's spring break trips to Cancun, her sorority dues at Duke, even her essential summer internship in Paris. When I asked for help with textbooks at State College, Dad launched into a lecture about financial responsibility. "Your sister understands the importance of networking," he'd say. "These aren't expenses, they're investments in her future." So I worked. Double shifts at Denny's, weekend tutoring gigs, summer nanny jobs. By the summer before college, I'd saved $8,000, every penny earned through exhaustion and sacrifice. I'll never forget logging into my bank account to pay my tuition deposit and seeing a 0 balance. When I called the bank in panic, they confirmed a transfer to another family member's account. "Hannah needed it for her semester abroad," Mom said casually when I confronted them. "You can always earn more. You're good at that." "Wear something nice," Dad had said during that fateful phone call. "This is important family business." Hope, that persistent fool, whispered that maybe they were finally including me in something significant. The dining room felt like a courtroom. Hannah occupied Dad's right side, the seat of honor she'd claimed since childhood. Her cream-colored suit probably cost more than my monthly teaching salary. Our family lawyer, Mr. Peterson, shuffled papers while avoiding eye contact with me. "Sit down, Sarah." Mom gestured to the far end of the table, the same spot where I'd eaten countless silent dinners, positioned just far enough away to feel excluded from the family conversation. Dad cleared his throat, using what Hannah and I used to call his CEO voice, the one he reserved for firing employees and delivering bad news. "We've made some difficult decisions about the estate," he began, his hands trembling slightly. "After careful consideration, Hannah will be the sole beneficiary of our assets." Sole beneficiary. The words hit like physical blows. Not primary, not majority. Soul. I don't understand, I managed to whisper. I'm your daughter too. Mom jumped in quickly, as if she'd rehearsed this part. Hannah has children to think about, private school tuition, a mortgage. You're single, dear. And teachers have those nice pensions, don't they? Hannah reached across the table, her manicured hand stopping just short of touching mine. I tried to convince them to include you, she said, her eyes wide with false sincerity. But they're worried about your problems, the gambling addiction, the debts. We just want to protect you from yourself. What gambling? I felt like I was drowning. What debts? I've never... Dad's face hardened. Hannah showed us everything. The casino receipts, the loan applications. We won't enable destructive behavior. The room spun. I'd never set foot in a casino. I'd never applied for a single loan. But looking at their faces, Dad's stern disappointment, Mom's practiced concern, Hannah's barely concealed triumph, I realized the truth didn't matter. It never had. 3 days after the will meeting, I found myself back at my parents' house, ostensibly to retrieve a cookbook, but really hoping to understand what had happened. The universe, it seems, has a dark sense of humor. Mom's iPhone lay forgotten on the kitchen counter, buzzing with incoming messages. Hannah's name flashed on the screen with a preview that made my blood run cold. Did she sign the waiver? Once she does, we're in the clear. 5 years of work finally paying off. My hands shook as I picked up the phone. Every ethical principle I held as a teacher screamed at me not to invade someone's privacy. But survival instinct won. I entered Mom's birthday, the passcode she'd used for everything since getting her first ATM card. The message thread with Hannah went back years. 5 years, to be exact. What I read made me physically ill. Planted the casino story today. Dad's really concerned now. Created fake email account in Sarah's name. Sent some disturbing messages to Mom. She's crying. Photoshopped bank statements showing Sarah's gambling debts. They bought it completely. This is easier than I thought. Each message was a calculated step in a long-term plan. Hannah had created an elaborate alternate reality, a gambling addiction, boyfriends with criminal records, allegations of stealing from Mom's jewelry box, even claims that I was unsafe around her children. She'd forged my signature on loan applications, created fake social media profiles in my name, and planted physical evidence around our parents' house. The most chilling message was dated 6 months ago. Final phase initiated. By this time next year, Sarah will be completely cut off. Financially and emotionally. The inheritance will be secured and she'll be too discredited to fight back. I photographed every message, my teacher's training and documentation taking over even as my hands trembled. As I scrolled through years of deception, a new message arrived. Remember, if she fights back, we release the apartment photos to her school board. That should end her career quickly enough. Attached were photos of my neat book-filled apartment, digitally altered to include drug paraphernalia, empty bottles, and other signs of addiction. The Photoshop work was amateur, but probably convincing enough to raise questions with my employer. Jennifer Martinez came highly recommended for estate disputes. Her office smelled of leather and justice, or maybe that was just my desperation talking. As I laid out the evidence, her expression shifted from professional interest to genuine anger. This isn't just fraud, she said, studying the photographed messages. This is a coordinated campaign of defamation and undue influence. Your sister didn't just manipulate your parents, she systematically destroyed your reputation to ensure you couldn't fight back. The retainer fee of $3,000 emptied my emergency fund, but Jennifer assured me we had a strong case. We need to build an airtight timeline, financial records, character witnesses, everything. Over the next 6 weeks, we assembled our arsenal, credit reports showing zero gambling debts or suspicious activity, bank statements proving my financial responsibility, employment records with glowing reviews from my principal, statements from neighbors describing Hannah's subtle smear campaign at block parties and school events. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Hannah's ex-husband, Robert, reached out after hearing about the will dispute through mutual friends. We met at a coffee shop where he slid a USB drive across the table. She called it Operation Golden Child, he said, his voice bitter. Bragged about playing the long game. Said you were too naive to see it coming, that teachers don't understand how the real world works. The USB contained a treasure trove, emails where Hannah detailed her strategy, spreadsheets tracking her progress, even recorded phone calls where she laughed about how easily our parents believed her lies. The key, she said in one recording, is to plant seeds of doubt gradually. By the time you drop the big lies, they're primed to believe anything. My Aunt Carol, Dad's sister, emerged as another crucial ally. She'd been written out of holiday gatherings after Hannah convinced our parents she was plotting to steal their retirement funds. I knew something was wrong when they stopped returning my calls, Carol told me. Hannah isolated them from anyone who might question her narrative. Our forensic accountant uncovered the final piece: systematic transfers from our parents' accounts to Hannah's over 5 years, totaling more than $200,000, all labeled as loans but never documented or repaid. During the same period, they'd denied my request for a $500 loan to fix my car's transmission. The courtroom felt smaller than I'd imagined, the wood paneling and formal atmosphere making everything feel both intimate and momentous. My parents entered first, looking older and frailer than I remembered, confusion etched on their faces. Hannah followed, designer suit immaculate, radiating confidence until she spotted Robert in the gallery. Her perfect mask slipped for just a moment. Jennifer's opening statement was surgical in its precision. Your Honor, this case isn't simply about contested inheritance. It's about a calculated, years-long campaign of manipulation wherein Hannah Thompson systematically poisoned her parents against her own sister through fabricated evidence and character assassination. The evidence presentation was methodical and devastating. Bank records proved my financial stability. Employment files painted a picture of a dedicated educator with spotless reviews. Character witnesses, colleagues, neighbors, parents of my students, described someone entirely different from Hannah's fiction. When Jennifer displayed the message screenshots on the courtroom's large monitor, the reaction was immediate. Mom gasped audibly, her hand flying to her mouth. Dad's face drained of color as he read Hannah's words about his gullibility. The message that seemed to hit hardest: Dad's so stupid. Show him one fake bank statement and he'll believe anything. Mom's even easier. Just cry and mention family values. Hannah's composure cracked during cross-examination. Those messages are taken out of context, she insisted, her voice rising. I was trying to protect my parents from Sarah's influence. What influence would that be? Jennifer pressed. The influence of a respected teacher with no criminal record, no debts, and no history of the behaviors you attributed to her? The pivotal moment came when Robert testified. Looking directly at Hannah, he recounted her words. She called it her masterpiece, said Sarah was too trusting, too focused on her little teaching job to see what was happening. She laughed about how you'd probably thank her someday for protecting your parents. That's when Hannah exploded. Jumping to her feet, she screamed, I deserve everything! I'm the one who gave them grandchildren. I'm the one who married well. Sarah's just a pathetic teacher who'll never amount to anything. Why should she get equal treatment? I earned this. The silence that followed was deafening. Mom began sobbing quietly. Dad stared at Hannah as if seeing her for the first time. Even Hannah's lawyer looked shocked. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. I find clear and convincing evidence of undue influence and fraud, she declared. The will is hereby declared invalid. The estate shall be divided according to intestate succession laws. equally between both daughters. The judge's words echoed through the courtroom as Hannah's carefully constructed world crumbled. Her lawyer whispered urgently in her ear, but the damage was done. Local reporters were already typing on their phones. By evening, the story would be trending in our community Facebook groups. In the courthouse hallway, my parents approached me hesitantly. Mom's mascara had run down her cheeks in black rivers. "Sarah," she whispered, "we had no idea. The evidence looked so real. How could we have been so blind?" Dad, the man who once commanded boardrooms, looked broken. "She had security camera footage, bank statements. It all seemed so convincing." His voice cracked. "We failed you." "You didn't fail me," I replied, finding strength I didn't know I possessed. "You chose to believe her over me. Every time I tried to tell you something was wrong, you chose her version of reality. That's not failure. That's choice." The financial settlement took 3 months to finalize. Hannah fought every step, filing appeals and counterclaims, but the evidence was overwhelming. The court ordered an equal division, $250,000 each. I shocked everyone by accepting only $50,000. "I'll take what I need to start something positive," I announced in my lawyer's office. With that money, I founded Little Minds Preschool, a place where every child would feel valued and seen, where no one would ever be the forgotten sibling. The remaining $200,000? I asked the court to place it in trust for Hannah's children. "They shouldn't suffer for their mother's actions," I explained. "And someday, they might need resources to escape her influence." Hannah's life imploded spectacularly. Her marketing firm conducted a quiet internal investigation and terminated her employment. The country club revoked her membership. Her husband filed for divorce and primary custody, citing concerns about her pattern of deception and manipulation. The local newspaper ran a series on the case. The Inheritance Scam: How One Sister's Web of Lies Destroyed a Family. 3 years have passed since that courtroom drama. Little Minds Preschool has flourished beyond my wildest dreams. We have a waiting list stretching into next year and have won several awards for our innovative approach to early childhood education. Every day, I watch children blossom in an environment of unconditional acceptance, something I never experienced in my own family. My parents send letters monthly, each one filled with apologies and pleas for reconciliation. I read them all, acknowledge their pain, but maintain firm boundaries. Forgiveness, I've learned, doesn't require reconciliation. Some relationships, once shattered by betrayal, can only be observed from a safe distance. Hannah has made several attempts to contact me, her communications cycling through threats, manipulation tactics, and tearful apologies. I had to install security cameras at the preschool after she showed up unannounced, demanding money and screaming about her rights as family. The inheritance battle taught me profound lessons about the nature of family, self-worth, and the courage to stand alone. I learned that DNA doesn't guarantee loyalty, that parental love can be conditional, and that sometimes the healthiest choice is to build a new family from those who truly see and value you. My chosen family now includes Jennifer, now a close friend, several fellow teachers, and ironically, Robert and his children. We celebrate holidays together, creating new traditions free from manipulation and favoritism. To everyone watching who's lived through family betrayal, your pain is valid, your anger is justified, and your desire for justice is not selfish. Family should be our sanctuary, not our battlefield. When it becomes the latter, we must find the strength to either fight for change or walk away for our own peace. If you're the scapegoat, the overlooked child, the one always expected to sacrifice, know this: your worth isn't measured by your family's approval. It's found in your integrity, your resilience, and your refusal to let others dim your light. Share in the comments. What 3 words describe your experience with family favoritism? Tag someone who needs to hear they're not alone in their struggle. Let's build a community where everyone belongs, where chosen family can heal the wounds birth family created. Sometimes the family we choose becomes more precious than the family we're born into. And that's not just okay, it's beautiful. What would you choose? Fight for your place or forge a new path? There's no wrong answer, only what brings you peace.